Welcome back to What's Your Story with Sarah Makopoulos. If I say Marco, you say?
Hello.
All right, today we have Frank Mesina with us, and he is a managing director for a Fortune 100 company, and he's also the 2014 Presidential Citation recipient of Managing Director for the entire nation. And he's going to talk to Sarah today. We want to thank our musical guests who you'll hear from later, Remy G, and also Clarence Jorah from Compound Security Services in Rockwall, Texas. So I'm going to turn you over right now to Sarah Makopoulos.
Thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate that immensely. And thank you so much for joining us here today, Frank. Frank is actually one of my most favorite people in the world, so I'm so thrilled to have you here. So we're going to have an incredible show today, you guys. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome to WOAW Media. I am Katrina Loco, the CEO. I want to tell you about something exciting that's happening here in our studio, in our office. We are hosting workshops, and not just any workshops. If you are an existing business ready to take your business to the next level, we are the one-stop shop. I'm telling you, we got some surprises for you. We've got some things that'll help you take your business past anything that you could even think. I'm not kidding you. You may be a business and you may be saying, I'm stuck. I've come this far, but now for some reason in my business, I'm stuck. What is it? Well, we may have the answer for you, but you won't know until you talk to us and let us show you how to take your business, like I said, to the next level. If you want to start a business or thinking of something you can do to make extra money, we can help you with that too. Join us.
Welcome back to What's Your Story with Sarah Makopoulos. So, Frank, thank you so much for joining us here today. I am so grateful to have you here.
Glad to be here.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself. You're one of the most inspiring leaders we have in our Fortune 100 companies today. What an incredible journey to get there. Let's go ahead and take a step back and hear about the beginning roots of your journey. I know at one point you were going to school for science and pre-med and also done some work in Africa. Can you go ahead and share some of that with us today?
Sure, I'll try my best, Sarah. So even though right now I'm in the financial sector, I didn't start off that way. I never went to school for math or science or none of those things. I'm sorry. No, I haven't gone to school for accountancy or econ or it was all math and science. I did my math, my science, I did my pre-med, my medical school, did medical work out in Africa. Last time I was in Africa was back in 1994. You recall the Hutu-Tutsi genocide or Hotel Rwanda?
Yes,
Okay.
Absolutely. I've seen the movie.
So I thought, well, what a fantastic opportunity for me to roll up my sleeves and slap on some gloves and do some real medicine, whatever that meant. So went out to Africa for a short period of time. It was only for about 6 weeks, but let me tell you, fantastic, life-changing experience. I do not complain about a single thing now living in a first world country. But when I got back, I was diagnosed with malaria.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was sick with malaria chronically for about 3 years.
Okay.
Almost died twice, but when I got better, I had this epiphany. I just realized, my goodness, I think I've had enough of disease. What do you think? So,
I think so too.
So I left the medical field and went into the financial sector. And one of the reasons was I just really believe there are very few choices that we make as adults that does not involve money. So as long as the person gets money under control, it has this beneficial multiplying effect in all the other areas of a person's life. And I also believe that money is this thing called congealed life. Now the word congealed, you know what that means?
Why don't you explain to the audience what that means?
So the word congeal is one of those words I'll never use in regular conversation. It means to take something that's without form and make it gelatinous. Something that is theoretical and make it tangible. So money is congealed life because most of us spend the better part of our day away from our family.
You're making money sound like gelatin.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's why the word is gelatinous, right? Yeah. And we are away from our families, spending our blood, sweat, time, and tears. And at the end of the month, our boss gives us this check and says, "This is what your life has been meant to me the past month." So in many ways, that is our life transduced in a physical thing called money. So if a person would trust me with topics of money, they'll trust me with topics of death, dying, and eternity. So I was in financial services, an advisor for several years. I was the Illinois Advisor of the Year.
Now, let me stop you there for a second. You said death. What was the other one?
They'll trust me with topics of death, dying, and eternity.
Dying and eternity. Let's talk about eternity really quick. You were a minister.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell us briefly about that.
Okay, yeah, so I was in ministry for about 20 years.
Okay.
I had pastored churches from as small as 200 up to 10,000 members. But I don't have the office of a pastor right now because I moved here 4 years ago. And so now I'm sort of kind of like off the clock.
Now, what were some of the things you learned as being a pastor?
Some of the things I learned.
Would you say you get some of your leadership skills from that?
Well, the big thing I learned about being a pastor is that it's sort of easy to be a pastor compared to being a dad and a husband, because being the leader of your house, you have all these ill-minded eyes watching you, right? They know all the bad stuff you do all day long, but being in ministry, well, it's easy to talk, right? Yeah.
And the hard part is follow through at your home.
The hard part is actually living 24/7. Yeah, that's right.
And you have a wife and 5 kids?
At least 5 kids.
At least 5 kids, not counting the ones you mentor.
Yeah, five kids, 1 spouse. Yeah, never boring.
So what would you say is your most impactful leadership skill that you learned?
The most impactful is, I think, it's from a book called True North. And the whole premise of the book is when leaders fail, when you think of like really popular personalities, when they crash and burn, those leaders don't fail because they fail to lead other people. They fail because at some point they decided to fail to lead themselves. And they let small things kind of pass. But what I've learned is, small things are small things, but faithfulness in those small things is a big thing.
It really is, isn't it? And you practice that on a regular basis. You won some national awards for your leadership skills in management. So tell us about some of those awards and what contributed to winning those. Because they were no easy feat, I'm sure.
Yeah. A lot of the awards I won are awards I was never ever shooting for. A lot of them were for community service, not even the ones that were for the profession. I often do a lot of talks in the community, and just as a result, they decided to give me some award, and I don't know, it just sort of turned out that way.
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah. It is, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So anyway, going back when you were talking about your 3 traits with death, money, and affinity.
Yeah.
Go back to telling your story on that.
Okay, so became the advisor of the year for the state of Illinois, which I've learned living here in Texas for 4 years means absolutely nothing to Texans.
No.
Became a director with the largest public firm in Manhattan. Did that successfully for a few years. I'm now a partner now with the largest financial company in the state of Texas.
Isn't that exciting?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the people I work with. Because there's a saying that says people don't leave companies, people leave leadership.
That's right.
The leadership in my office, whether you're talking about the starting lineup or the bench, I mean, it's deep.
It is deep.
Love working there.
And I think you're one of the most impactful leaders, here in Texas, actually, if I could say so myself.
Okay, well, I'll start saying that.
So, what would you say were some of your biggest successes you've seen in other people based on the mentorship you have provided?
I can't take a lot of credit for it. I think I try to interact with people the same way a psychologist or a counselor does. Give very, very little advice just ask a lot of questions and your subject kind of self-discovers.
That's really good advice. Yeah. So, how long have you been practicing roles of leadership?
I kind of fell into that role since college. So in high school, I was bullied a lot. I went to a private prep school. I was the only Asian in the whole school, so I was the token ninja.
Really?
Yeah. So, but when I went to college, I decided, well, I'm going to reinvent myself. So I joined a lot of organizations, Philippine Student Association, fraternity. I was even an active member in a Black political group. So I found different ways of expanding my influence in different communities.
And you can always reinvent yourself at any stage.
Yeah, that's the secret sauce.
Yeah, and that's the exciting
You can
adventure.
reinvent yourself on demand.
Isn't that incredible?
No,
So-
actually, it's very credible.
Now you're also very, very influential, actually. Everywhere I go, everyone knows who you are. How did you establish that, and how long did it take?
Okay. Well, I think just Texas is a very special place in the entire country. It's very easy to get access to people who are personalities in Texas.
We have a lot of
We
personalities.
certainly do, and it's just so friendly here. Like one of the first questions I would get if I were ever talking to a native Texan, and they find out I'm a transplant, they're going to ask me like, "Oh, by the way, what church do you go to?" And the next question is, "Hey, by the way, you want to come to my church?" You don't get that in Chicago.
No, they're always trying to steal people away. They join my congregation, absolutely, all the time. So what would you say were some of your biggest failures, and how did you overcome those?
Oh, so many failures. Okay.
Are they really failures at the end of the day?
Ooh, you're like setting it up, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. No, I think anytime I just learned from my mentors that anytime a roadblock happens in life, that means that you're actually on the right track. If you ever want to avoid all the roadblocks in life and live a really easy peasy life, just play a small game.
Tell me the game.
Well, no, I mean, play a small game meaning don't be up to anything in life. Then you'll never come across a roadblock. So I've discovered that just roadblocks, it's just a part of winning. I'm okay with having a bad inning here and there because I know I'm going to win the game.
I love that attitude. That is a winner's attitude. And when you are mentoring individuals, what kind of qualities do you look for to know that's the kind of individual you want to mentor?
That's a really good question. I don't know if I actually formally mentored anybody. It's just whoever is in my life and is asking questions and is willing to listen to something, I'm just going to be completely present with that person. And then maybe that organically that's mentorship.
That is absolutely incredible. That's probably why you have so much influence. People very much respect your opinion. Now, what kind of special advice or books or things that you would direct them to improve themselves or have self-development?
Well, I'll share the attorney answer. It depends.
It depends. I love it when he gives that answer.
I don't know. I mean,
It depends.
reading something is better than nothing.
Yeah. So, what were some of the things that you studied along the way to grow your skills?
Well, whatever leader I was ever in front of at a given day, I mean, there are three questions I kind of asked them. Number one is, what's your story? And then, what are you up to? And lastly, so what books do you recommend I read?
That's incredible.
And I just add that list to the menu. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. So thank you so much. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hello, my name is Dr. Yvonne Jones, and I'm here to introduce my new book, Toxic Leadership, a Curriculum to Identify and Prevent Toxic Leaders in Church Ministry. This is much needed, much needed. We have toxic leadership not only in church ministry, but in corporate America as well. And this book will help you, if you pick up a copy, it will help you to determine if you've been toxic, and we all have at some point. And also, it will help you in your church ministry and leadership. It will help you to be a better leader for the Lord, because people tend to love power, and that's one of the elements of toxic leadership, someone that loves power, manipulation, controlling everything. And if you pick up a copy of this book, I promise you, it will help you in your ministry. Amen. So pick up a copy. I promise you it'll help you, because God is a loving God. And also the book talks about servant leadership like Jesus, and to lead how Jesus would have you to lead, because we are living in these last days, last and evil days. And so this will help the church. It's not a call out. It's a call up to the kingdom of God, because he's on his way back for a church without a spot or wrinkle. So you can go to Zulon and pick this book up. You can go to Amazon.com, and you can also go to Barnes & Noble. It's also on Kindle. You can get a copy on Kindle as well. But pick up this book. Help yourself. Help your church to get to the next level in God, and watch God. I promise you, it will be a blessing in your church ministry. It will be a blessing in your individual ministry. And may God bless you and keep you. Amen.
Welcome back to What's Your Story with Sarah Markopoulos. So, Frank, thank you so much for some of the things you've been sharing with us. I think you are absolutely inspiring myself. I wanted you to go ahead and see if you could share some of your things that you've accomplished with speaking in front of the platform speaker for the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors.
Okay, so the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors is affectionately known as NAFA. So they are a nationwide body that has chapters in all the major cities. Most of the people who are in those organizations are going to be insurance agents, financial advisors, attorneys, and CPAs. So for, I would say, the past 12 years, I've been invited to different chapters to share on topics of, like prospecting. How does an insurance agent or advisor build a referral-only practice, right? Instead of knocking on doors and calling cold lists like on the Wolf of Wall Street, and also how to build your practice in a holistic way instead of just being transactional. Instead of selling a product, you're solving problems.
Now, you actually won awards for doing a lot of this work as well.
Yeah, so I was also in production as an agent and as an advisor. And my big secret was I only worked 15 hours a week, so 15 hours a week. Had 2 to 3 clients per week at the most. And the main reason why I did it this way was, before that, I was working the proverbial 60, 70 hours a week in corporate management. My first 2 kids that I had, I did not see awake for the first 2 years in their lives. So I wanted to have this financial practice where, yeah, I'm going to work 15 hours a week, but darn it, I'm going to work those 15 hours so it gives me the bandwidth to do all these other things with my family.
And now your kids are saying, my dad works? I never see him work.
One of the things that my oldest son, when he was 5 years old, asked his mother was, Mommy, where is Daddy? And she says to him, what do you mean, honey? Daddy's at work. And I kid you not, he says back to her, Daddy works?
I
was always home. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's wonderful that you can be able to provide that life for those,
right,
for your kids.
And that's what NAFA brings me in to teach, is to teach these systems how to be an efficient financial advisor. So that way you have all this bandwidth to do all the things that you love in your family and in the community.
Now, earlier before we started filming, we were talking about becoming.
Yes.
Can you go ahead and share with the audience what you were sharing with me when we were talking about becoming your greatest self?
Well, I think many people can imagine that becoming is a very painful process.
It is a very painful process.
Yeah.
You gain and lose a lot of people along the way.
Sure. And again, that's all just a part of winning. And you're always changing because you never ever become a final thing. You're always in the process of changing. So the faster a person's on board with being okay with the painful process of beginning, then they're always going to be growing intentionally.
I love that, growing intentionally. That's something you talk about a lot, growing intentionally. And that's something I see you do on a regular basis, and that I see you instill in some of the people.
You watch me very closely, don't you?
I do.
Well, that was kind of awkward, right?
No, of course I'm going to want to watch people who I know are winning at life. So
Would you like to make it more awkward?
go ahead, let's make it more awkward. All right. So tell us, you do a lot of public speaking, and you're quite entertaining and funny too. But why don't you tell us about some of the places you've spoke at?
Okay.
I know you've done some speaking at universities.
Okay. So universities, I get brought in by the administration or by business classes. Professors come bring me in to talk about the real world, or student organizations. They'll have me come in and speak on various topics, from leadership to demystifying money.
So what is your favorite topic to discuss?
I think it's going to be money.
Yeah?
And I think it's because, again, there are very few choices that we make as adults. It does not involve that thing called money.
It's very, very true.
So as long as that person trusts me with the topic of money, then they pretty much trust me with all the other things that are happening in their life.
And it's very easy to trust you. So you're a lot of fun too. Tell us when you discuss leadership too. What are some of the things you like to hone in on leadership?
I think the big thing is this word called integrity. I think a lot of people have a very loose definition of what that word integrity is. And for me, integrity has really very little to do about morality. It has more to do with keeping one's word. I believe a person with integrity is simply somebody who does not lie to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're true to yourself, then of course it's easy for others to trust you too, because they know you as the person that is so committed to their word that if Frank says something, I know it's going to happen.
And it's easier to lie to yourself than it is to other people, isn't it?
And what's the saying? If you're going to be a liar, you need to have a good memory, right?
Yeah, exactly true.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you like to hone in on the financial side?
In regard to money, there are three things that no matter how old or experienced the audience is, they could be as young as middle school. I'll tell you, there's basically three things. Number one is you render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. So about 30% of our income is going to go to the government. Mm-hmm. And then you render unto God that which is God's. So 10% of your money goes to giving. And no matter what audience I'm talking to, even if it's a completely secular audience, I always talk about the importance of giving. Because a household that's giving is not living at the edge of their income. They're living in a very safe spot. They built in some margin into their lifestyle. And then lastly, 10% should go to pay yourself. And Sarah, the way it was taught to me was, someone had told me there are two people sitting in my seat. Me sitting here today, mm-hmm. and then me sitting there 20 years from now. And the person sitting there 20 years from now is saying, hey, where's my money?
Yeah.
And I can say, well, here it is. I've saved 10% for you.
And it goes by so quickly, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that axiomatic?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And if they're not doing that, then they won't have anything to be able to stand on.
90% of the work is putting 10% away.
Isn't that something? 90% of the work. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And most people aren't doing that, are they?
Not at all. I even broke down the math that even a household that made $50,000 per year, so a dual income household, $50,000 modest income, if they simply saved 10% of that, given the average market conditions, they would all be millionaires. So the come to Jesus question is, why aren't there more millionaires?
Why aren't there more millionaires? Go ahead and tell me.
Because they're not saving 10%.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. So now you're also an arbitrator for FINRA as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
Okay. So
After these messages, We'll be right back.
Insurance is like, well, insurance. You hope you don't need it, but if and when disaster strikes, you will be happy to have it on hand. Whether for everyday medical expenses or emergencies, you want to be sure you have the right coverage. Enter U.S. Health Group. With flexible choices and options, our health coverage will keep you ready for anything. We offer solutions through our insurance companies which can't be found anywhere else. Our 3,000 plus agents will help you pick the best plan to best meet your needs, including medical, dental, vision, accident, and life insurance coverage. Our agents can assist you online, over the phone, or in person to make selecting coverage as easy as possible. If you'd like to know more, here's how it works. Our insurance companies offer you the ability to buy more coverage if and when you need it. This means you can pay for less coverage under your base plan and feel safe and secure knowing you have the right coverage for any significant medical needs you may have later. With U.S. Health Group, you have options, like upgrading your coverage even at the time of a claim. That's right, more coverage when you choose it. In other words, why pay for coverage before you need it? We are proud to offer you fair rates and no surprises. You can lock in your rate for 15 months at no extra cost. With more than 15 million served, enter U.S. Health Group, helping you with flexible choices and options. Contact us today and get a free quote.
Welcome back. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we had left off with you about to tell us about some of the work you're doing as a FINRA arbitrator.
Okay. So FINRA stands for the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. It's sort of like the governing body of the financial industry. So funny thing is, whenever my kids' friends hear that I'm an arbitrator, I don't know if anyone plays the game Halo, but there's a character called the Arbiter, which is an alien, and they always think, oh, so Frank is like an alien or something. So I do arbitration for cases all over the country. It's usually the financial industry versus the financial industry because apparently we eat our own, or it's going to be the public versus the industry. So instead of spending all this time in courts and spending all the money on attorney fees, just meet with me for about 2 to 3 days, and I'll just come up with it really, really quick.
So you have to be very fair and just as well, too.
Yes, I have to be very fair and balanced.
Are you voted into that, or is that a voluntary role? How does that work?
So there is a pool of arbitrators all over the country, and then the claimant and the respondent, which is like the plaintiff and the defendant, they get to pick who the arbitrators are. So
Okay.
we're sort of on the list. We don't get notified until someone picks us.
So you're basically voted in.
Correct.
That's incredible. So it's also a popularity contest as well.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah,
Guess so.
I guess it is. So there was also a
Presidential Citation Award.
citation award. What is that? And tell us about that.
So one of the largest financial services companies, they have awards. Like every performance-based role that's out there has some sort of recognition program. So this is the Presidential Citation Award is a national scope award of the top managing directors in the country or the top financial principals in the country. It's a whole combination of things that we're measured on, like how good are we in bringing talent into the organization, or how good are we helping sure that talent pool is very profitable and has influence in the community. So basically, operating how well does one operate an office?
So what kind of advice would you give someone who is wanting to reach the level of success you have reached, or even attain some of the goals you've attained?
Okay.
Because there's some pretty high, lofty things you've accomplished, sir.
Okay. So the first thing is to realize that there's always people who have accomplished more. And there's a really popular meme that had gone around on I think Facebook the past couple of years ago was you're the average of the most frequent 5 people you associate with. So I'm very, very intentional about making sure that I approach people that are on my chicken list, people that I'm afraid to talk to. Those are the people that I need to talk to.
And tell us a little bit about you personally. What are some of the things that Frank enjoys spending his time doing if he's not doing something, whether it's networking or work?
Okay. So, I mean, I really love people. I love to collect people. I love hearing their stories and learning about all the things that they're up to. And because my feeling is, you know, I'm very protective of my networks, right? But I love to introduce good people to good people, because if someone on this side of the city is up to something and another person here is up to a different thing, if I can get them together somehow, they somehow make this bigger splash in the community.
And it's exciting to see it.
Right, and I can say, I did that.
I did that.
Yeah,
I
kudos.
did that, and it's a wonderful feeling, isn't it? I
Absolutely.
love how you're always like kudos. And what is one of your most inspirational songs?
One of my most inspirational songs is, it's actually a song I use for my theme song. It's that song, oh my gosh, I'm having this senior moment right now. But it is,
You're so senior.
my gosh, it's All I Do Is Win by DJ Khalid.
All I do is win.
Yeah.
You're always winning. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. All right. Well, Frank, I want to say thank you so very much for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure having you
Love
on
being
my
here.
show.
Yeah.
Thank you
Pleasure's
so
mine.
much. And next, who we have up, we have Remy G. So let's hear it for Frank and Remy G.
This song is called I'm Going from Broken Hearts and Broken Homes. Like I said, I'm always right here. She told me I will never, just like you said, just like I said, promise. I will never let you go, I will never let you down. As long as I'm around, I will never let you go, I will never let you down. As long as I'm around. And I said I won't be long. Baby, it's just 7 days and I'm never coming home. I was talking to my gun, homie told me to be strong. You better take advantage of what you have until it's gone. Cause I'm gone and I'm gone. I'm really, really gone. I could never change the past and I see a dream dawn. It's my heartbreak, it's more than just a heartbreak. Told me that they not, but I think that these bitches all fake. You promised me you love me after every single fight. I hold you in my arms, I feel like everything is right. And even take the pain away if only for the night. And even though I wish I never let you in my life, I still I will never let you go, I will never let you down. As long as I am around, I will never let you go, I will never let you down. As long as I am around, she told me I will never go, won't run away. I'ma see so much money in the babe, she told me I will never go, won't run away. But I'm gone and I'm never going home. I knew you had to get me and I leave you on your own. Everything was perfect and you had to push me too far. My chest beat, panic attack. It's on my heart, I know you broke it, but I know what you wanted, Remy. I want you to know that sometimes I fucking never lost my focus. You've grown so much into somebody that I don't understand. I don't think I can say that you're a man, but I cannot depend. I just wanted family, you just wanted bands. Waited the apartment while you out there with your friends. Deep down in my heart, God, I knew this wasn't right. After 3 whole years for what? It's gone with that feeling that's inside of my gut. Wrong with the feeling what's inside of my cup. When DJ up and down, remember I was by your side. Bitch, you broke my heart, now my heart is broken. You left me exposed, you left me in the open. I will never let you down, but I will leave you broken. I will never let you go, I will never let you down. It is what it is. As long as I'm around, I will never let you go. I will never let you down. As long as I'm around.
Thank you. Broken hearts and broken homes. I'm home.